The Dallas Mavericks defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 108 to 105. This game was exciting from start to finish. I have to say, you can say whatever you want about Kyrie Irving as a person. He's very eccentric, he's out there, but you can't deny that he's one of the most exciting players in the league to watch, especially when he's on. Just his elite ball handling skills are amazing. It's just fun to watch when you see him drive in the paint and just create easy buckets, just the way he finishes in traffic. It's amazing to watch. Just his crossovers, just his shot creation is very elite. I've always enjoyed watching those things from him. He did not disappoint in this game. From the start of the game, he went off. He established himself early in this game, which was interesting because for most of the playoffs, Kyrie has started off slow. In the first half, I think there's a stat where he just averages only 5 points. And then in the second half, that's like when he gets like 16 or 17 points. So it's kind of amazing how in this game he asserted himself from the beginning. The biggest reason why I think he did that was Anthony Edwards talked some trash about him before this game about guarding him, and as they would say, he took it personal. Kyrie Irving, that is. He wanted to show him that I may be older, but I'm not that old where I can't whoop your ass. And he lit him up. He opened up a can of whoop ass on Anthony Edwards. Just that was fun. I really did enjoy it. It was like watching like the old school vet take out a youngin. Just it was fun. He really took him to the woodshed, as they would say. But he was huge in the first half. It was important that he went off also because Luka was not playing so well in the first half, so he covered for Luka's slow start in the game. But in the second half, I felt that's when Luka really took over and he started to pick up his game. He started getting easy buckets and getting whatever he wanted. One thing I would say about both Luka and Kyrie is that when they get into the paint against the Timberwolves, there's nothing the Wolves can do. They're really at their mercy. Every time they drive in the paint, they're always going to have the opportunity to score an easy bucket or find someone for an easy lob, depending on what Minnesota tries to do. For example, whenever Minnesota would crowd the paint and either Kyrie or Luka would drive in the paint, they would drive in there and then they would toss up a lob for either Gafford or Lively. One of those guys would get just an easy dunk every single time the Timberwolves just crowd the paint. So it's kind of like they're damned if they do and damned if they don't when it comes to both those guys driving the paint. And I think the Mavericks had like 60 points in the paint just off of those two guys alone, creating those easy opportunities for their teammates in the paint and them getting those opportunities just by driving in. So that was really big. I would say that they had that huge advantage against Minnesota. Sure, Minnesota can adjust. Maybe they'll blitz them more, but I just think ultimately they're at those two guys' mercy, and there's not really much they can do about this going forward. They're going to be in a world of pain because it's just rare you're going to find a player that not only has elite ball handling skills, but on top of that has elite finishing and elite passing. Both Luka and Kyrie possess those skills, and that's very rare. So you have two of those guys, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of trouble for the Timberwolves throughout the series. Now, I would also say that the Mavericks bigs, PJ Washington, Gafford, and Lively, they did enough to serve against Minnesota's advantage with their bigs of Naz Reid, um, Carl Anthony Towns, and Gobert. Like they were solid and just good enough where they could just give the Mavericks enough production where they could overcome the gap with those bigs in Minnesota, which is huge. As long as they continue to get these easy high energy plays, which Luka and Kyrie will create for them, I think Dallas can survive not having the advantage when it comes to bigs because I think their advantage on the perimeter against the Timberwolves is just so huge. Now, when I look at the Timberwolves, I look at Karl Anthony Towns, who I said in my previous video, if the Wolves want to win this series, he's the X factor, even more so than Anthony Edwards. That you look at his numbers for his game, 16 points on 6 to 20 shooting, that's not going to cut it. One thing I said in my previous video was to look for the Mavericks to double team him whenever he's in the post, and they did a lot of that in this game, which I thought was a great strategy, like I predicted they would. And it did tend to frustrate him at times. I think because of that, he started settling for a lot of just jump shots. He took a lot of threes, 9 threes, only made 2 of them. So he has to try to get more easier buckets. Towards the end of the game, he did get some easy buckets. He got like a fadeaway, a mid-range shot, a putback dunk, and some other easy opportunities down the stretch. He needs to do more of that from the start of game 2 and not settle for just taking threes, because that's what the Mavericks want you to do. They are actually happier if you take those types of shots. That's what I would say. So it's crucial that he focuses on the mismatch, especially when PJ Washington is just on him one-on-one in the post and his eyes on play. He really has to force the issue. That's one thing, going forward, I would say he has to do. The Mavericks strategy I thought was interesting in the sense that they left McDaniels, Kyle Anderson, and some other role players from the Timberwolves open for threes while they tried to crowd Anthony Edwards and Cat at every opportunity they had. They wanted to put maximum pressure on those two guys and force other guys to beat them. And it worked in this game despite Jay McDaniels shooting on like God mode. He got 24 points on 9 of 15 from the field, but 6 of 9 from 3. I think if you're a Wolves fan, you have to be concerned because even though McDaniels played great in this game, I don't think he can keep it up, these astronomical three-point shooting games he's been having. At least the last 3 or 4 games, he's shot something like 70 or 80 from 3, when during the regular season, I think he was a 35% three-point shooter. Eventually, he's going to come down to earth. And you couldn't win in this game when he was on God mode. What's going to happen to the Wolves when he's his normal self again, which will eventually happen this series? Kyle Anderson also had a great jump shooting game, which I don't see him being able to consistently keep it up. He shot 5-8 from the field. He hit a ton of jump shots in this game. Naz Reid obviously is not a fluke. He's always going to shoot well. He has a good jump shot. So yeah, I won't say his 15 points are a fluke. It was legit. Now, the main guy on the Wolves, as we know, Anthony Edwards, he talked a lot of trash about stopping Kyrie, and he failed miserably. He got his ass whooped. He also shot poorly in this game, 6 of 16, 37.5% overall from the field, which is pretty shitty for a superstar player, allegedly, just a franchise player. He has to do a lot better. The thing I found interesting about this game was he made 6 shots. 5 of those 6 shots were threes. Another strategy of the Mavericks was forcing him to shoot the threes. Essentially just give him the 3-point shot and dare him to beat you from 3, which it played in their hands in this game. I think he needs to find more ways to get easy buckets in the paint, hit some mid-range shots, go to his fadeaway move. I think he should go to that more the next game for easy opportunities in the paint. That's definitely something he should work on, I feel. Now, Minnesota has a difficult decision to make when it comes to guarding Luka and Kyrie. I don't think they should put Anthony Edwards on either of those guys because in this game he was gassed. He was really tired from having to chase after those guys. And I do believe it did affect him to some degree on the offensive end. That even though the Mavericks are playing good defense on him, you could tell at times he didn't have his legs. He was tired. He was holding his hips. You could tell he was drained. And that's going to happen every game if he has to continuously guard either Kyrie or Luka. I think they have to make a tough decision on this. If I was the Minnesota Timberwolves, I would have Anthony Edwards guard. I would have him guard Derrick Jones Jr. That's a guy I would put him on just to conserve his energy and use him as a help defender at times against Luka or Kyrie and have him play the passing lanes. That's what I would do. I think that's a better strategy. you're just going to have to live with those guys getting whatever they want. Conley is just going to be a traffic cone against whoever he guards. If you put him on Kyrie, he's going to get lit up, but Kyrie's going to get his 30 or 40 points every game anyway. So it's kind of like you just have to live with Luka and Kyrie getting what they want. But at the same time, if you can conserve Anthony Edwards' energy, then you have a better chance of winning the game because he'll definitely play better, much better offensively. So that's what I would do if I was Minnesota, if I wanted to win the next game and just going forward to win the series. The adjustments the Timberwolves make next game will be very interesting, more so than the Mavs. Since the Mavs won, the Timberwolves really had to adjust to them. I'm looking forward to seeing how they try to guard Kyrie and Luka and how they're going to use Anthony Edwards in the sense on both ends of court, just how they're going to get him easy baskets to get him going, and what are they going to do with him defensively, how they're going to set him up. Are they going to have him guard Luka or Kyrie, or will they have him guard Derrick Jones Jr.? That will be very interesting. I'm looking forward to game 2. The series started off exciting. It has a lot of promise. Hopefully it continues to live up to what we saw in the first game. And that's all I have to say about this.